Hello, this is Bill Sefakar. Welcome to the American Dreamer Show, sort of an abbreviated version. We're trying to put things in perspective with everything that's going on in our world and in our community and our homes. And have a few things I think might be of interest. My producer, James Worley, after taking a look at the recent American Dreamer Show broadcast, we divided into two parts. I put in two 30-minute segments, and they were about half hour each. And he said he thought it wasn't half bad. And the fact that they were half an hour each, I'd say I'll take it as a compliment. So. He said, why don't you start thinking about maybe 15, 20-minute segments and keep track of things that are happening in today's crazy world. And I said, well, okay, I'll give it a shot. And he's certainly an expert. James Worley is Mr. Stream Live kind of guy. And he has his own James Worley Live, over 4,000 hours streaming and over 4,000 subscribers. So I think that qualifies him as an expert. Got some hot tea here. Anyway, first thing I wanted you to notice, see these flowers here. I've been here a few days, but on my birthday on the 7th, Tuesday, we had a social distancing kind of birthday. My very dear friends Heon and David Kalin down the street came over, and I cooked up some eggs and fish, and we had these wooden trays you might just get a handle on, and we set them up. They were at least 6 feet apart, and cooked the dinner. I had a nice time, and even had a ice cream cake that was delivered by Publix, who, I don't have to tell you, we have to thank these people, not just the nurses and the doctors, first responders, everybody that's helping make this thing work, because we are very vulnerable, fragile, as you well know. So these flowers, Heon came over with them as part of birthday greetings, and it was very well appreciated. Very nice. So I'm recording here. This is in my outside area. It was a screened-in porch up until about 4 years ago, and I decided interest rates were low to make an enclosed area. I use it all the time. It really makes a difference. I would recommend anybody that has the wherewithal. I know these are dire financial times, but their interest rates are low, and if you can do some maneuvering, creative financing, I would certainly recommend enclosing your screened-in porch area. So that's what I am recording out here, because last broadcast was inside, and I know everybody pretty much is got cabin fever. They're enclosed, and so I figured this might just lighten things up a little bit. There's some monarch butterflies that are flying around. I don't know if they're going to be on the tape, and the ducks come visit me. That makes for a nice setting. So I know the news today, I won't subject you to the latest dramatic figures. There may be a chance that some of the hardest hit areas are experiencing a leveling out. I wouldn't say flattening, but maybe stabilizing. And that would be good news, because otherwise what you see, what used to be China, Italy, and Spain is now the cities of America. Devastating. So There are a couple of interesting notes. You've seen people are surviving, and that's important with all the help of these amazing people, medical people, hospitals all over. There was something that came out from Italy, and I think it's worth sharing. A 97-year-old man survived all the implications and treatments and worked out, and he was on a ventilator, as you would imagine, for 2 or 3 weeks, and when he showed signs of improving and getting off of that, they had a big celebration, and the nurses and the doctors were really happy, and he was so overwhelmed. You know, he saw this ventilator that he'd been resuscitating on, and I don't know if he thought he was going to have to pay for the cost of the ventilator. I didn't really know, but they were happy, and he was really overcome, and tears were flowing, and they wanted. No, I said, "You don't have to pay for this. This is our cost for taking care of you." He says, "But no," he says, "I've been on this planet, on the earth, 97 years, and I've been breathing in God's air all these years for free. And take advantage. We take advantage, take it for granted. When I think of how amazing, how grateful," he says, "every day I'm going to be so thankful I can breathe this air on my own." Pretty powerful statement and setting there. It was another positive thing. It was one of the cruise ships, I think it was out of Japan. They would, hunker down in 2 or 3 weeks in port, and they couldn't go, and people died. And there was one fellow that he managed to overcome the adversity. He said he ate well, he exercised on board, and he played his guitar. He had his guitar with him. Well, I can identify with that. These are some of the things that I do. I exercise. I do thousands of push-ups and sit-ups, and I can't play my tennis twice a week, which that was also a very good way of getting the exercises in, and other things out and about. So this is something I would recommend if you haven't thought about it. It kind of worked for me. I'm actually using my tablet for recording this, but there's a couple of pictures, and I don't know if it's on my smartphone. It may be. This is a picture of my kitchen. I have a hot water cooler, and it's not anything unusual. I think people have a lot of coolers, hot water coolers and stuff, and what makes it so interesting is that I've had it for 8 years, and not only had it for 8 years, but it has really been something else for me to what's on there, have hot water. It's a hot water tap, a regular tap, and then there's a cold water tap, and a 5-gallon jugs. And as I said, over 8 years, it's been a lifesaver, and I use it incessantly here with my soups and any hot beverages, and I heat up stuff, and it's pretty neato. Thing ran about $150. 8 years ago. I checked online. There are a few that are, Sears had one for $100 that was marked down from $200, and they're running about $150 at Lowe's and Home Depot. And I would definitely check into it. Mine was a GE profile. I can't believe, probably knock on plastic, it's going to last. So anyway, I was showing you some of my supplements that I had. I don't have them with me, all of them, but my extra orange It is orange, but the vitamin C tablets, they're 1,000 milligrams. I take 2 of those a day. I have a couple of cups of hot tea, soup, and as I said, I do my push-ups, sit-ups, whatever you think is going to work. And you found a way. Surely couldn't tell you what you need to do. Walks. Interesting that in the nighttime, these skies are a little clearer without all that light pollution from the airplanes and cars and whatever. And so I always go out and look. I have a couple of interesting books about stars in the universe, and they're just so beautiful. This is the Horsehead Nebula, and I did some astrophotography, another one. But I would say take advantage of that. You can even see the space station flying by. And in my latest issue of Sky and Tell, they're telling about the 30-year anniversary of the Hubble telescope, which was so amazing. And these are some of the beautiful, beautiful pictures that have been taken over the years. And what I suggest is, if you are checking, you can Google NASA gov mission and the pages, and they have the Hubble multimedia. It's worth checking that out. So I know there's a lot of stuff happening on the telly, and I've been watching the news like you all have. One of the most intriguing pieces of reporting has been Chris Cuomo. Chris Cuomo is the brother of Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York. Doing a remarkably good job as far as people in New York think, because he's dedicated to that. But Chris was diagnosed with coronavirus 19 symptoms, and he's been quarantined, and he's been telling about how he's had to resolve this and fight it, and fight it, and fight it. He had lung x-rays, and he had fever that he said it just knocked him out, and he said that get off your ass. That's what he said on television. That he had people call him up, friends and people he didn't even know, say you got to get off the bed and couch, because that's what it wants. It wants you to give up. And it was very graphic when he described it, and he's making the best of it. And it was funny. I mean, people are celebrating Easter, and we celebrated Passover, but he relayed this analogy of the Passover. Hopefully this is going to be passing over, this terrible plague, which is synonymous with the Ten Commandments and the Passover holiday. Well, I would be remiss if I didn't let you in on some of these quotes, and I've had a field day with these. They're funny. These were funny. There's one that I'm going to share with you that you would not believe. I'm going to tell this to you, and you will never guess who would have said this. And this was on Tuesday. Any man who can drive safely while kissing a pretty girl is simply not giving the kiss the attention it deserves. Wow. One of the most brilliant men that walked the earth, none other than Albert Einstein. I checked this out. It was December 10th, 1915, right after he had his theory of relativity came out. I guess it's kind of relative with people too, but there's so many things. This one, it was a crypto quote, and there's a crypto quip. Now this one, powerful. This is from Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She sits on the Supreme Court, one of the most remarkable people, woman, anything. She said, cherish your daughters as much as you do your sons, and teach them both to stand up for what is right. Stand up for what is right. We all should be living by that. And here's another one that you wouldn't expect. I'll tell you who it is up front. Warren Buffett. It's only when the tide goes out that you learn who's been swimming naked. I mean, if that's what it takes to make billions of dollars, then I'm going to sign on there. I don't know. I'm going to go swimming naked, but it's really... Now, with all the men that are home and families, and I got another quip on that, but certainly men that are retired, women know this, but now that everybody is confined in the home and stay at home and locked down, this is something that you women can appreciate. And a retired husband is often a wife's full-time job. A retired husband is often a wife's full-time job. In a lot of men out of the home, not by any reason why they want to be, but they're accomplishing that, as well as a retired husband. All right, this is Bruce Lee. You can appreciate Bruce Lee. Interesting what he has to say. Notice that the stiffest tree is most easily cracked, while the bamboo or willow survives by bending with the wind. And these are times that you need to be bending with the wind. And this was William James, great novelist, writer. Most people, it's cute, most people never run far enough on their first wind to find out they've got a second. Okay, and let's add a bunch more, but at this point, I have a few other things. They were interviewing this fellow who's home with his kids and his wife, and they had him a question. Said, would you rather being with your children, cooped up with your children and your wife, or the other? And he says, yes, the other. Didn't even wait to finish what the second alternative choice was. Okay, I have another thing along those lines. This is taken back, and I just came across this, so I'll share it with you. Pajama diaries. Pajama diaries is a very popular kind of woman that writes. She works at home, does she is helps with developing websites and so forth, social media. So the thing was, let's play mood roulette, and it's a parent question. Could you please clear the table? And with her two daughters, and you have families that you have and children, and I know I was part of this answers. And so these were the 6 answers on the roulette table that could come up. One was okay, which was rare, I imagine. The next one was agada. And the third one is I'm not your servant. You've heard that. This one is also good. If you give me $10, okay, I'll do it. Then the other one says, sobbing, says, you don't get me at all. And the last one is, I hate you. You ask someone to clear the table and you get all these responses. Okay, so with that in mind, I want you all to exercise extreme care. And I had put down some of these things. There was a Eric Hoffer. I feel remiss if I don't read Eric Hoffer. He was an amazing theorist and of psychology, and this was pretty cool. Disappointment is a sort of bankruptcy. The bankruptcy of a soul that expends too much time to hope and expectation. the bankruptcy of a soul that expends too much to hope and expectation. I believe you have to hope, and you got to work at it, and that's what the American Dreamer is all about. So I take exception to that. And so with these things that boost your happiness, and hope and dreams are part of it. So these are the feel-good observations I mentioned earlier. Boost daily happiness. Practice deep belly breathing. I saw on this was one of the things that Chris Cuomo was talking about. You've got to get rid of this thing. It wants to get down to your lungs, and you've got to relax. Do that. Also, acts of kindness makes a difference for everybody, not just for the people you're doing it for. Focus on what you can control. Got to be very philosophical. And hopefully we'll find answers, because we have people going through this, people that have avoided this. They're super people. I mean, we're at war. This is a war. And, you can't even see the enemy. But exercise, eat healthily, and sleep enough. But don't lay on your back a lot, because that's when it feels uncomfortable and you can feel the chest constricted. And I've felt that. Be happy, smile, share funny stuff with others. I hope this qualifies. Think up amusing antidotes, or not. Just find others that people have done it, and you get through this. And as I said before, the American Dreamer show is predicated on the premise that following your dreams and hopes can bring about lasting frame of mind that makes life not only more challenging, because we're having it more challenged whether we like it or not, but more gratifying and happier. We'll be happier. I'm trying it. I don't have all the answers. I'm not a doctor, but we're doing the best we can, and we're sharing it. Please, bottom of my heart, try to get through this. The next 3 weeks are going to be very critical. Next month, we get out of quarantine by May. That'll be great. Beginning, middle, or end. Thank you for letting me share some of these things. It means a lot, and I hope you can take some of these things with you. This is Bill Sefakar, American Dreamer, son of the American Dreamer, Joe Sefakar. Take care. God bless. Be well. Your friend.